I'm back for the next part. I moved to my office or toy room, as you can see. Anybody need anything to step on in the night? I have lots. Let's see what else I got. He's practicing his trumpet, so you can probably hear, so that's why I closed the door. Anyway, here I am. How are we all today? Feeling good? It's Wednesday. So the last we left Ravi and Joe, Ravi had some crazy slimy black thing swimming in a jar on his desk, and that's what he brought to share as his reflection piece. So we left off with 3 long black slimy. Any guesses? I don't know, you might be surprised. They were 37 leeches, I say, as everyone leans closer to see what I have in my jar. Yesterday, Paripa and I took a walk together. Where are we going? I asked him. You'll see, he said. Ever since we moved to New Jersey, Paripa has been very quiet. He eats his meals without a word and then goes and sits on the sofa to chew his betel nuts and read the newspaper. But yesterday, as we walked together, he had a lot to say. What's this I hear about you wanting to quit school? He asked. Nobody likes me, I told him. They think I smell bad. Doesn't matter what they think. Quitting is not an option. I know, I said. Appa told me. That's because I told your father the same thing when he was a boy. And someday, when you have children of your own, you'll tell them too. Quitting is not an option. You don't understand, I said. Nobody does. For a while, we walked in silence. Did you know that in India, tea has to be plucked by hand, Ravi? My grandfather said finally. 3 leaves and a bud. My grandfather said finally. 3 leaves and a bud, right from the very top of the tea bush. The tea pickers pluck the tender shoots and drop them into baskets that hang from their heads. When I was a young man, my first job was to work at the tea plantation. I had to stand in the rain and guard the workers, protecting them from wild animals that might be lurking nearby. What kind of wild animals? I asked, but my grandfather didn't answer. Instead, he took me by the hand and led me through the tall grass to the edge of the pond that Amma and Parima were always warning me not to go near. What are we doing here? I asked. Again, my father didn't answer. He bent his knees and crouched down, careful not to let his veshti touch the muddy ground. I crouched down beside him and watched as he dipped the tea strainer into the water and began dragging it very slowly through the weeds at the edge of the pond. 2 times he pulled the strainer out and we peered in, only at dirt and dead leaves. But on the 3rd try, his efforts were met with success. 3 long, black, worm-like creatures wiggled in the strainer. We used to call them Draculas in disguise, Paripa told me. The tea plantations were infested with them during the monsoon season. They were much larger than these skinny fellows, but these will have to do. Do for what? I asked. Parima told me about your assignment. The assignment is to find something that represents who I am, I said. Do you think I'm a leech? Paripa laughed and pulled a small glass jar from his pocket. Fill this to the top with water, he said, handing it to me. When I had finished filling the jar, he dropped the leeches in, closed the cap, and tightened it. These leeches are a reminder of who we are and where we've come from, Ravi, and all of the hardships we have had to endure here. I thought about our house in Bangalore and my friends back at Vidya Mandir, especially Pramad. I thought about the way things used to be and the way I used to be. I don't know who I am anymore, Paripa, I told my grandfather. You are Ravi, my grandfather said, putting his arm around me and pulling me close. And we never give up. Work hard against all odds and believe in ourselves. Who would have thought that I, a small tea plantation owner, would be able to send his son to a fine university and help bring his whole family to live in America? But that is what has happened. I miss Bangalore, they said softly. Oh, me too, but we'll have many more opportunities here. Doesn't feel like home, I told him. Give it time, Paripa said, reaching for my hand. Come, Ravi. Amma and Parima are waiting. If we stay out any longer, they'll think we've been carried off by that terrible wind Parima is always complaining about. Everyone in room 506 is still crowded around my desk, trying to get a look at my leeches. The time is right, so I open my pencil box and take out the blue candy, the one that Miss Frost gave me from the resource room 2 days ago. I put it in my desk and I forgot about it until this very morning. Now this little blue candy is about to play the starring role in my big plan. I look around to make sure no one's watching, and then I place the candy in the dish on Bigfoot's desk. Chapter 38. Joe, when it's only this long. I can't believe my eyes. I actually blink a couple times to make sure that I'm not seeing things. Is there really a blue peanut M&M in the glass dish on my desk? The answer is yes, but what's weird is that it's not the same one that I brought from home. I'm positive. That one was a single. This one is a double. Those are rare, especially the blue ones, which is now how I know exactly who put it there. Robbie's next. I'll get us started, said Mrs. Beam as she reaches into the basket. She pulls out a card and reads it aloud. On my honor, I will try to serve God and my country, to help people at all times, and to live by the Girl Scout law. Oh, that's easy, shouts Dylan, jumping out of his seat. That's Selena. Who else would be dorky enough to still be a Girl Scout in the 5th grade? Mrs. Beam's eyebrows are twitching. As I explained a moment ago, Mr. Samreen, she says, the person who reads the sentence is the only one who's allowed to guess. In this case, that person would be me, not you. Dylan sits back down and Mrs. Beam walks over to Selena's desk. She's the girl in the green uniform who had brought my things to the nurse's office. Is it you, Celine? Mrs. Beam asked, placing the card next to a loop of green cloth with medals and badges pinned to it. Selena blushes and nods her head. Now it's your turn, says Mrs. Beam, holding the basket out to her. Selena pulls a card and reads, Blondes have more fun. Gee, I wonder who that is, Dylan says. Selena walks over to Lucy Mulligan and places the card next to the silver hairbrush sitting on her desk. Is this you? She asks Lucy. Huh, duh, Dylan sneers. Of course it's her. This game is a joke. Mrs. Beam frowns at him, then holds out the basket to Lucy, who reaches in and pulls out the next card. I rule, she reads. I'll give you a hint, says Dylan. He turns on his ridiculous plastic star and the music starts blaring. Dylan jumps up on his chair, sticks out his long tongue, and starts waving it to the music. The way it moves reminds me of leeches wiggling in Purpose tea strainer. Mrs. Beam's eyebrows are not twitching anymore. They've become a straight line now. She walks over, turns off his music. Please get down from your chair, she says. As Dylan starts to climb down, he happens to glance over at Bigfoot's desk. When he sees the blue candy in that bowl, his eyes grow very wide, and a look of pure shock comes over his face.